Kartal is fine. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jayo Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Adaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Adaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं स्वजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवाद पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे तप्तकाञ्चन गौरांगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुता देवी नमामि हरिप्रिये हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 8, Verse 6. मुहुर्गृणतो वचसानुराग स्खलत्पदिनस्य कृतानि तज्ञा किरीटशास्त्रमणिप्रविक प्रद्योतिदामाफनासहस्रम् मुहुर्गृह्णन्तो वचसानुराग स्खलत्पदिनस्य कृतानि तज्ञाः किरीटशास्त्रमणिप्राविका प्रद्योतितामाफनासहस्रम् मुहुर्गृह्णन्तो वचसानुराग स्खलत्पदिनस्य कृतानि तज्ञा किरीटशास्त्रमणिप्रवेक प्रद्योतिदामाफनासहस्रम् मुहुर्गृह्णन्तो वचसानुराग प्रदिनस्य कृतानि तज्ञा कीर्तसहस्रमणिप्रावैक तद्धामाफनासहस्रम्। Go read the word for word. Muhu, again and again. Grinanta, glorifying. Vachasa, by words. Anuraga, with great affection. Skalat Padena, with symmetrical rhythm. Asya, of the Lord. Kritani, activities. Tadgyaha, those who know the pastimes. Kirita, helmets. Sahasra, thousands. Mani Praveka, glowing effulgence of the valuable stones. Pradyodita, emanating from. Uddama, raised. Phana, hoods. Sahasram, thousands. Translation. The four Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumar, who all knew the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, glorified the Lord in rhythmic accents with selected words full of affection and love. At that time, Lord Sankarshana, with his thousands of raised hoods, began to radiate an effulgence from the glowing stones on his head. The Lord is sometimes addressed as Uttama Shloka, which means one who is worshipped with selected words by devotees. A profusion of such selected words comes from a devotee who is fully absorbed in affection and love for the devotional service of the Lord. There are many instances in which even a small boy who was a great devotee of the Lord could offer excellent prayers in the choicest words for glorification of the pastimes of the Lord. In other words, without the development of fine affection and love, one cannot offer prayers to the Lord very suitably. So today, we are getting into the mood of Janmashtami. It's coming up this weekend. And I wanted to begin by first expressing my gratitude to all the wonderful Vaishnavas who have graced me here, and I wish to speak as a service to them for their satisfaction. Radha Gopinath temple is one of my homes, and in the material world we are all on borrowed time, borrowed resources, and today morning I am even on a borrowed dhoti, and by the grace of Baladev Prabhu I had to walk down memory lane. When I first came to Radha Gopinath Mandir, it was under construction. 22 years later, I saw construction again. And right after I got here, he sent me back home, back to VTA. So thank you for that. In this purport, we hear that unless there is the development of fine love and affection, one cannot offer prayers to the Lord very suitably. But what happens to those who have no love or affection? And I wish to try and answer that question to the extent my realizations permit, through the example of a great devotee of the Lord. Who can guess who we are meditating on today? Okay, I'll give you a hint. I will meditate on this devotee through an essay written by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. We are going to meditate on Putana. Who is ready for some action? So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explained, and so does the Srimad Bhagavatam, that at the end of the day, Putana may be a demon, but she is also a great devotee. And the Srimad Bhagavatam explains that in the section on Jai and Vijay, that demons don't exist in the spiritual world. Sri Krishna is a very dramatic personality. He understands that our life is filled with drama anyway. How many of us have a lot of drama in our lives? And as an expert dramatist, he gives us a plot twist by sending Guru and Krishna, by offering himself, and creates more drama so that we get sucked out of our drama and enter his drama. That is the path of perfection explained by Sri Rupa Goswami in his books Sri Nataka Chandrika and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And if you look at the altar, do you realize the altar is actually like a stage? You know, the curtains close, open, just like a stage. And Sri Krishna is a dramatist, the hero, right in the middle, inviting us into his drama. So in a sense, Putana is a demon, but she's actually just doing the drama of a demon. And at the end of the drama, what Sri Krishna does is gives her her rightful place. It was only in the drama of Putana Leela that Putana was trying to poison Krishna. Nobody can really poison Krishna. And at the end of the drama, Krishna gives her the rightful place of a mother. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur takes this and says that this whole episode of Putana has deep significance for each and every one of us. And he says that King Kamsa is a typical aggressive empiricist. Now, what does that mean? How many of you have read this article called Putana by Saraswati Thakur? So for those who haven't read it, I'll read excerpts. And an empiricist is somebody who says, I don't believe what I can't see. Everything has to be measured. Everything must have evidence. And their sutra is the absence of evidence is the evidence of absence. We have Hare Krishna Prabhu, who is a lawyer, who understands evidence very well. The absence of evidence means if you can't provide evidence, it doesn't exist. Okay? That is an empiricist. And empiricism is just a way of thinking. Aggressiveness is an attitude that goes with it. So an aggressive empiricist is not just something that he believes and he is satisfied with it, but he is also going to be aggressive about it. So Kamsa is a typical aggressive empiricist who is ever on the lookout for the appearance of the truth for the purpose of suppressing him before he has time to develop. How many of us instinctively felt at some point in our lives that, not everything in the Bhagavatam makes sense, but kuch to hoga. There must be something here that is true. Let me give it some more time. And then there is another voice in our head that tells us, ho hi nahi sakta. Ye kya bakwas? Has it ever happened? Happened to me. And in cartoons they show it. How many of you have seen Tom and Jerry while growing up? The red cat and the white cat on two shoulders. The red cat is saying, do this. The white cat says, no. Right? So the typical aggressive empiricist keeps telling in our head, you are wasting your time. This is all improbable. Somebody made it up. Why are you wasting your life like this? That is Kamsa. And truth does not come all in once. Truth is like a seed which, when given time and nurturing, grows into a reality. So a typical aggressive empiricist is always on a lookout to suppress the truth before it has time to develop. Truth takes time to develop. This is a very important thing. This is no exaggeration of real connotation of the consistent empiric position. The real empiric position, those who are aggressive, right? They are always like this. And Saraswati Thakur says, I am not exaggerating. The materialist has a natural repugnance for the transcendent. Repugnance means hatred and aversion. Right? He is disposed to link that faith in the incomprehensible is the parent of dogmatism. There are some things that our mind cannot comprehend right away. But if you give it time and a chance, it will prove itself. But what is the biggest enemy of transcendence? According to Saraswati Thakur, it is impatience. If you don't give time to the truth to explain itself, abhi time nahi hai, you will never get there. And then, the sister of impatience is prejudice. First you don't have patience, and then you say, okay, fine. At least kuch to sun lo. नहीं, ये अच्छा नहीं लगता. And that is the parent of dogmatism and hypocrisy in the guise of religion. So there are so many people who will say religion is an insult to human dignity. Do you know who said that? A very famous Nobel Prize winning physicist called Steven Weinberg. He said that in this world, and I'm paraphrasing, good people would do good things, bad people would do bad things. But for good people to do bad things, it takes religion. For good people to do bad things, it takes religion. Therefore, religion is an insult to human dignity. He said that, and he is one of the thought leaders of this world. And if you think about it, essentially, what he is trying to say is that people will use religion as a mask and an excuse to do whatever they want. And just because there are some quacks, you know what a quack is? Someone who pretends to be a doctor. Just because there are some quacks, doctors get a bad reputation. And patients lose faith. So what is the solution? You need to have patience. And you need to give the transcendent a fair chance. Otherwise it won't manifest itself. Now Putana, according to Saraswati Thakur, represents religious organizations that have externally a proposed motive of serving God, but internally the intention of poisoning God. Let's pause there for a second. This is Saraswati Thakur. Is the first Vaishnava to start creating Vaishnava institutions at scale. saying that the church or any religious organization that has the best chance of survival in this damned world is that of atheism under the convenient guise of theism. The church that is actually atheistic but pretends to be theistic. You know who represents that? Putana. The churches have always proved the staunchest upholders of the grossest form of worldliness, from which even the worst of non-ecclesiastical criminals are found to recoil. So if there is a church, and by church in his English in the last century he meant religious organizations. On the surface it looks great, but if it has any internal motive other than serving God, that represents Putana. And then he says, Putana is the slayer of all infants. Remember, Putana did not come just to kill Krishna. She is heartless, she kills all infants. She just wanted to make sure Krishna was one of them. She didn't care about Krishna. She just got caught by Krishna. The baby, when he or she comes out of the mother's womb, falls at once into the hands of pseudo-teachers of religion. Each and every one of us in this material world has this factory setting. Default mode. It is said by child psychologists that till about 4, we are emotionally dependent on our guardians or parents, but we are absorbing all forms of knowledge without prejudice. And then someone during our childhood tells us, "Wo auntie ko na ye mat bolna." Don't say this to that relative. We are taught to lie. We are taught to cut corners. If you're standing in line, you just cut the line and stand in front and pretend nothing happened. You know, we are taught these things. And then we are told that these are the ways of the world. Right? So these are the pseudo-teachers of religion, and from the moment a living entity comes into this world, we are surrounded by pseudo-teachers of religion. These teachers are successful in forestalling the attempts of the good preceptor whose help is never sought by the atheists of this world at the baptism of their babies. And as somebody is actually coming to help you, say, "Nay, nay, 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 nay." We are habituated. This is ensured by arrangements of all established churches of the world. Churches are established to reinforce the darkness that people live in or fall into right after they are born. And then Saraswati Thakur says, they have been successful only in supplying watchful putanas for effecting the spiritual destruction of persons from the moment of their birth with the cooperation of their worldly parents. I remember a story from Radha Gopinath Mandir. Who wants to listen to an old Radha Gopinath temple story? You know Sankirtan Prabhu? I heard the story about him, that when he joined the ashram, his parents were very upset. And there was a newspaper report about him and the temple saying that this is a place of destruction and brainwashing, that, doctors and IIT engineers are coming in, becoming sadhus. What a waste. Right? And that article was about him, I heard. And correct me if I'm wrong. Now, Sri Krishna is known as, Krishna has some very complicated names. One of Sri Krishna's names is Aghatana Ghatana Patiyashi. How many of you know that? Patiyashi means an expert. Aghatana means a disaster. And Ghatana means a good incident. So Krishna is an expert at turning disasters into something memorable and good. So that happened with that news article, because when people read that news article, they became curious. What is this temple where IIT engineers and doctors are coming and chanting? So some more devotees joined the ashram after that. So Sri Krishna is an expert at taking something that is a disaster and turning it in his favor. And so it is with what Saraswati Thakur says are these rogue churches of the world. Sri Krishna takes Putana and makes it very memorable and enlightening for the rest of history. And so Saraswati Thakur points out that this is exactly what Sri Krishna will do with religious organizations that has motives that are anything but devotional service. Sri Krishna is going to expose them. And then Saraswati Thakur says that the great ecclesiastical establishments, means religious organizations, are like dikes and dams that retain the current that cannot be held by any such contrivances. Contrivances means obstacles. And after reading this article about 20 years back, I had a lot of doubt. Today I'm at Radha Gopinath Mandir. This is a religious organization at the end of the day. Why is Saraswati Thakur so, hard? And Gauranga Prabhu had explained a very nice point. He said that, if you make ice cream at home, your family will enjoy. But if you want to feed ice cream to all Mumbaikars, you can't make ice cream at home. You will need an ice cream factory. Now, if you are not intelligent enough to know the difference between ice cream and ice cream factory, and you start chewing on machines, it will naturally leave you with broken teeth. So institutions and organizations are important, as long as we know what to do with them. And if there are any mala, any drawback, any growth area, any bottlenecks, Krishna is in charge at the end of the day. He knows where he will expose the putanas. And even after he exposes the putanas, Krishna doesn't get rid of them. Krishna purifies them and gives them the status of a mother. So at the end of the day, there is nothing called a bad religious organization. It's just that Krishna is in charge at the end of the day, and not all the lessons that Krishna is going to teach is going to be pleasant. But he knows best. And Saraswati Thakur says that at the end of the day, in these worldly expectants who become the patrons of the mischievous race of pseudo-teachers of religion, the putanas, whose congenial function is to stifle theistic disposition at the very moment of its suspected appearance. But as soon as theistic disposition proper makes its appearance in the pure cognitive essence, okay, let's pause here. The pure cognitive essence, okay, that each one of us who are here, who are hearing Bhagavata, is engaging in the process of cognition. We are hearing ideas, and we are either agreeing or disagreeing or analyzing it. That is the cognitive essence. There is a pure cognitive essence, means an instinctive essence within us. That is bhakti. When the theistic disposition proper makes its appearance in the pure cognitive essence of the awakened soul, the Putanas are decisively silenced at very earliest stages of their encounter with newborn Krishna. So Krishna is the pure cognitive essence. And when a soul awakens, becomes enlightened, then Sri Krishna stifles that aggressive empiricist called Kamsa. The would-be slayer is herself slain. So I wanted to enter a meditation on Janmashtami and reflect on this purport that says that without the development of fine affection and love, one cannot offer prayers to the Lord very suitably. Prayers are not just in the form of words. Prayers are also in the form of actions. And when Putana was breastfeeding Sri Krishna, even though there was poison mixed with her milk, she felt some affection for Krishna. And Krishna is two things. Bhavagrahi. Bhavagrahi means even if each and every action is totally a disaster, Krishna still takes the essence, the bhava. And Saragrahi. Even if you don't have any bhava, at least you tried. Krishna takes that intention. Right? And with that, I want to pause for today and share the rest of the time to hear your realizations, any comments, tikas, any questions that I may attempt to answer. The time is yours. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, detecting the Putana is a challenge in our individual practices or in our institutional setups. Everyone wants to serve. We assume that everyone is coming with a sincere desire to serve, but then over a period of time, something goes wrong somewhere. So, is there any standard litmus test by which we can detect where is the Putana poking her head?
The answer to this is given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in three places. Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, Sri Krishna Sanghita, and a few articles in the Sajjan Toshni, where he says that each and every demon in Krishna Leela is an archetype of something that is within us. So for example, Bakasura. Baka or crane stands on the bank of a river on one foot, just like a yogi. And it can stand for a very long time, right? But what is the Baka, the crane, meditating on? Fish. Just waiting for the next hunt. So there is in each and every one of us, whether we are human, we are Brahma, or we are an ant or an amoeba, a hypocritical opportunist. Now you may identify that, you may not identify that, but there will come a time when Krishna will come and fight that Bakasura and kill it. All we have to do is be like Kaliya. Should I explain Kaliya? Kala means time. And in Sanskrit there is a thing called Tadhita, like Pandu, Pandava, Kala, Kaliya. So in a sense, our tongue is like Kaliya. Kaliya poisoned everything within Yamuna and made the whole atmosphere of Vrindavan toxic. So, the food we consume can poison our body, and the words we speak can make our surroundings toxic. And Kali had to do it for some time. Before Krishna playfully entered the waters of the Yamuna because somebody had thrown his ball there. And he took that as an opportunity to kick the poison out of Kaliya's fangs. And so it is with Trinavarta. How many of us have ever become very agitated in devotee communities because of some controversy? You know what Trinavarta represents? This kind of Vad, Jalpa, Vitanda and controversy. There is just hot air. But it is raking up a lot of dust and making things messy. Just 1 week back, they had me give a class in Alachua, Florida. It has the largest concentration of Vaishnavas in North America. And somehow or the other, by good fortune or bad fortune, I have a purport where Prabhupada says not even a single living entity falls from Vaikuntha. Uh-oh. And I mentioned one point, and I will share it here. That is, whether the jivas fall from Vaikuntha or not, when our minds get embroiled in that controversy, we are victims of Trinavarta. Because Saraswati Thakur says very clearly, there are two kinds of people. One is like machi. You know what machi is in Bangla? No Bengalis here? What is a machi? Not mashi, machi. हाँ? क्या बोला? माछ नॉय, माछी. Makhi, fly. Or moumachi, madhumakhi. ये अक्खा मुंबई शहर में, where will the flies go? Where will the butterflies go? Butterflies. So Saraswati Thakur said, Machi and Moumachi, I say flies and butterflies. But flies will naturally go and become victims of Trinavarta. And butterflies will naturally go collect nectar. So each and every demon is already within us, according to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. All we have to do is let Krishna dance on our tongue and let him playfully kill each and every demon as he wishes. We cannot rush Krishna's drama. We cannot interfere with his play. Krishna sometimes kicks us, sometimes kisses us. Aslishya tava padaratam vinashtumam adarshanat marmahatam karotuva. Right? So the answer to your question, Prabhu, is, at least in my realization, we never know when the blunders are coming, and that is also Krishna's orchestration. And Krishna will kill whichever demons he pleases to kill by his own sweet will, on his own time. All we have to do is pray, make my heart your playground, Krishna, and make me your plaything. Was I able to address your question? Thank you. Any other comments? We are all in Shantaras. I would love to hear your meditations on Janmashtami. It's coming up. It's a nice way to spend a few minutes. So anybody wants to tell us what's going on in your mind as we approach this weekend? How many of you ever participated in a dahi handi? I've never seen one, never participated in one. What is it like? Would you do it a second time? No. I wanted to bring that example because, in a sense, last evening, I was planning to do something on Saturday and said, don't go around the city. The whole city will be blocked. And I was meditating that, why do people do dahi handi? I asked somebody, why do people do this? And they say that they want to prove they are strong. And they are, they want to become the heroes in their neighborhoods. And it immediately struck my mind that that's exactly how Putana works. Isn't it? The purpose is to remember a pastime of Sri Krishna. But the intention becomes to show who is the hero of the mohalla. Anyway, I will not.
There is big prize money involved when you break that handi.
Yeah, Kamsa had promised Putana a prize. That you go and kill all the infants, including Krishna, and come back to Mathura. There is a cup waiting for you. So, I don't know what you think about that realization. I mean no offense. But, devotion gets mixed when you have these kind of things. The intent, the idea behind it that we are reenacting Krishna's pastimes is wonderful. But when the intention becomes, a show of who is the boss, then we ignore the real boss. Okay. Any thoughts, comments? Yes, Prabhu. Radhika Vallabh Prabhu. You want to pass the microphone?
Hare Krishna. In the Putana article, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions how the religious organizations Putana can appear in the religious organization when they have a motivation other than serving Krishna.
Correct.
Putana appears. So we see that in general, wherever there is a power position or money involved, there's always possibility of some cheating or this thing. Sometimes I'd heard, I don't know whether it is from an authentic source, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he had an idea of some kind of Namahata sense of Namahata preaching, which does not involve religious organization model. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he started propagating Krishna consciousness through the religious organization model. So what are the advantages of and disadvantages of a Namahata and organization model?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur was not making religious organizations. He was making it too. In a sense, religious organizations go back to the time of Jiva Goswami. When Mahaprabhu jumped into someone's rice paddy and said, "This is Radha Kunda," it was somebody's property. And after all of these temples and estates began to emerge in Vrindavan, then under the guidance of Rup Raghunath, Jiva Goswami registered these properties, and the organization was called Vishva Vaishnavaraj Sabha. So, when we were making the Bhaktivedanta Research Center and I came across a visiting business card of Saraswati Thakur, I noticed he wrote Secretary Vishwa Vaishnav Sabha. He never called it the Gaudiya Math. And I've also realized that Bhaktivinoda Thakur re-registered the Vishwa Vaishnav Raj Sabha. And then one day it struck me that actually Vishwa is international, Sabha is society, and Vaishnav Raj is Krishna Chaitanya or Krishna consciousness. So the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is an English translation of Vishwa Vaishnav Raj Sabha. So in a sense, what we have here is an organization that goes back a very long time. And this is what Srila Prabhupada explained, the old wine in a new bottle. So organizations are old, but structured institutions is something fairly recent. The question is whether it's bottoms up or top down. Bhaktivinoda Thakur created a template which was grounds up. Namhatta and multiple trusts. And he said there should be governing body and committees, GBC, for every trust. And he organized everything. So organization was there, but it was grassroots. Saraswati Thakur's point was sometimes it has to be top down. That's where he said, okay, let's have a network of monasteries. And he established about 64 mats, most of them in Bengal and Bihar and Orissa, and the rest of them rest of India. So that was like, infrastructure and top down. But, and then another point you mentioned, Prabhu, is involvement of money, power, and what was the third thing? Position. Narottam Thakur says, Na koriho asat chesta labh puja pratishtha. And institutions by default work on the basis of money, power, and position. Isn't that a contradiction? And it took me a long time to wrap my head around it. And the key to that problem lies in one word in the Shikshashtakam. Na Jagadisha, that the word is kamaye. Dhanam Janam Sundarim Jagadisha kamaye. Not that these four things are bad. But kamaye means when we hanker for those things, then it is a problem. So therefore in our Shastras, in the whole Bhagavatam, we have example after example of Rajarshis. Rajarshis means Rishi who is a Raja. Means a king who does not hanker after his kingdom. The kingdom is there, the king has to rule, he has to punish people, he has to collect taxes. Even Sri Krishna collected taxes. But, by his own example, he was not attached to any of it. Right? And that is why he is Bhagavan, because there is all strength, wealth, fame, beauty, knowledge, and also detachment. Thank you. Was I able to address your question, Prabhu? Okay. We have 2 minutes left, but I'll spare you those 2 minutes, unless somebody has a burning comment to make. No? All right. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here today morning. I'm very grateful to be among you. Hare Krishna.